One of the best ways to tackle insecurity is to ensure that offenders don't go unpunished. The Ogun State Command of the Nigerian Police has arrested the suspect involved in the killing of a couple, Kehinde and Bukola Fatinoye, on the 1st of January in Abeokuta, the state capital. The killers also murdered their only surviving son, Oreoluwa Fatinoye, who was thrown into a river alongside a family friend. The command's public relations officer, Abimbola Oyeyemi, confirmed 3 persons involved in the killing, including the prime suspects who had earlier escaped from police custody, Lekan Adekanbi, have all been arrested by the police. This is a good development, and that investigation, the beginning of this year, this was a sad story that we actually contend with. They went for their watch night service. By the time they came back, they were assassinated, and their house was set ablaze. And we felt that, look, it was quite discouraging when we were told that the prime suspects escaped.
Yes, you know, and a lot of us felt really bad, angry with the police that the guy was allowed to escape. But it's good news that we have now that they've all been rounded up and they are cooling their heels in a police detention facility. There is no reason in the world for what the guy did. And the callous manner in which he got these people killed. People still jubilating about the fact that they had seen a new year. They were just coming from crossover service when this boy and his friends attacked them and burnt them inside their house, took their son away, you know, to then throw him into the river. So the boy's bloated body was found later. The couple was unrecognizable, already burnt beyond recognition, you know. And at the end of the day, what was his grudge? That they didn't increase his salary. If somebody gave you a job, he has given you a means to put food on your table. People have their issues. If they are unable to promote, increase your salary at some point, look for another job. It doesn't mean you should take their life. That's not the only place where you can work. I mean, I don't know when we talk about these drugs that people take, because there's no way a rational human being will go to the extent
without the influence of any of this,
without having taken, even his friends too, they will all have ingested these terrible substances. That's why a lot of our people underrate the essence of NDLA and the work that General Marwa is doing. If we are able to stop people's access to these illicit drugs, there's no way that crime rate will not come down. Even Boko Haram, when they get hold of them, and for some time they've not been able to take all these their drugs, you now see a level of sobriety that you couldn't have imagined. They'll be very calm. At that point, they have returned from being an animal to being a human being again. You now see some level of sanity. You know, at that point, they will be looking like the rest of us because the drug has been taken away. There was a boy who murdered his father, a retired lieutenant commander. I don't know if you saw the pictures.
I remember that story.
He cut the father into bits. The man just retired from the Navy. I don't know, maybe he asked for some money from the man's retirement benefit, it was not given. But for a boy to go to that extent, it also suggests that illicit drug must have been ingested. People can't just do some of these things, you know, out of sheer hatred. No, the drug use is involved.
At that moment.
I told you what General Marwa told me when I interviewed him, that there is a big man in Nigeria who can only go to sleep when he's sure that his son is already deep in sleep. Because it's like trouble waiting to happen at any time, that the boy is ready to take his life. So it's when it is fast asleep that the man can then feel comfortable to go to sleep. It's terrible.
Well, if you look at the trend, and our young men just go to any pub now, from 17, 18, it's a way of life already. And they've even indoctrinated little girls into this illicit acts. And by the time they are high, they don't know what they're doing.
In the past, smoking hemp was a very strange thing in most communities. Maybe you only say 1 or 2 people. But these days,
okay. Well, let's quickly just pay this bill when we return. Yeah. Just continue. We'll be right back after this breather.
My name is Kashim Shetima. I'm the APC Vice Presidential candidate. Here we have 1,776 orphans, vulnerable orphan girls from Northern Borno, all of them victims of Boko Haram, or housed and educated, getting the best that the nation has on offer. Look at this edifice. It's about one of the best schools in the nation. And this has been replicated along the length and breadth of Borno, and further sustained by Governor Babagana Umara Sulu. Get us into office. We promise you such edifices will be replicated across the length and breadth of this nation. Vote wisely, vote Bola Tinubu for the presidency of Nigeria come February 25th.
Welcome back. It's 12 days to the 2023 general election, and it's journalist hangout on Sunday. Wally, before we went on that break, we're talking about...
In the past, smoking hemp was seen as anti-community behavior, anti-social behavior. But now it's more or less like a social status, Everywhere you go on the streets, even primary schools, secondary schools, there are instances where drugs have been associated with, students, pupils, very young people. And sometimes you imagine, what kind of society are we building when people start taking drugs from the age of 12, from the age of 13, from the age of 14. So I think this is not something we need to live for NDLA alone. The education ministry, our schools, they need to work together with the law enforcement agencies because it's becoming so rampant. Look at the excuse that he gave, that he didn't increase his salary, and then he demanded they should buy him Okada. So his employer didn't buy him an Okada. When they were being employed, was there an agreement? Even people that are working in banks, when they request for loan, it takes a long time before they get that kind of loan. Or increase
some people after some time, they'll start having this entitlement. Look at how long we have been fighting for minimum wage, before we were able to get 30,000. So, people should also, it's unfortunate that this couple, there's nothing they could have done to him that warranted killing them, taking the life of their child, and then burning down the corpses. If you remember,
so this is,
with the boy that they took to the river, the second one was lucky
to escape. So what kind of, the human heart is desperately wicked. And what my advice is that when you have anybody working with you, either as domestic staff, you have to be on alert. Immediately you see any signal, wash out the eyes, whether he smokes, wash out the kind of friends he keeps, wash out whether he's in court, wash out his statements, violent statements, violent rhetorics. I had somebody who used to drive me. For the first time, the first month, we went to this hotel, Radisson. For the first time, he took me there. When we came out, he said, Oga, you have to carry me along, go. I said, what? He said, I need to carry me along, that all these things that I'm doing, I need to also, he wants to be involved. I said, what's your education? You Togolese, you have only class 3. How do you expect me? I just took that statement and I knew that I would be in trouble.
That was a red flag for you.
Yes, so in the next 1 month, I had to do away with him. So we need to watch out. We need to do background check. You need to find the kind of relation between your driver, your minister, and your family, your children. Immediately you notice anything that is abnormal, you have to dispense with them. If not, they can take your life at any moment, at the slightest provocation.
Hi, Bukola. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Emma, your friend.
Oh,
Wajide, how are you?
I'm fine.
It's been a long time.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm taking you back to the Owerri discussion anyway. It's so sad, so sad. You know, if a few things I wanted to say, it seems Babajide took it up. The international community said they want the success of the election. They are backing us with all kinds of things, said the United Nations. Why are you deceiving yourselves? You have already mentioned the source where our problems are coming from. We are protecting such individuals. What happened to Rwanda? Did you hear somebody shot in Rwanda, if not radio? And people had few things, and a whole generation was wiped off. The same investigation is going on. A group of stupid and irresponsible youths have been deceived by few elements outside the shores of this nation. You all know where they live. And you're telling us you're foreign, whatever, United Nations, America, whatever. You can't help us, arrest them, so that the people that will see that the people that are frightening them has been arrested, come here tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday. So you won't see a single fly outside in Owerri. And you're preparing for election? You think that Imo State is only Owerri capital city? Can you vote in Olu? Can you vote in Okigwe? Can you vote in anywhere outskirts of Owerri? Will INEC be able to send anybody there, even if you are going to distribute AP's personnel? How many of them will you distribute? 100? Election is 13 days' time, and nobody's talking about it? And somebody is busy warning that 2 weeks with time nobody will come outside? And they are not reasoning. Biafra is coming. Biafra is coming next 2 weeks, from what we are told. What is the region of Biafra? Geographical location. Nobody knows. Who is the president of Biafra? We don't know. Who is the assistant? Nobody knows. And a group of idiots have stopped doing 419 and OBT. They are now using this as the new OBT. And people are contributing money to them. If the federal government is not complicit to this, why can't those be arrested? Why can't they be brought to book?
Thank you, Manuel. Manuel he has a way of dropping this bombshell.
Because he sees it.
Yes, he's in the way. It's just...
And it's very painful.
Very painful.
If you are a resident there and these boys just impose prison term on everybody.
I'm telling you.
You know?
So on Monday,
go out.
So INEC cannot even move logistics on Monday.
Security men don't even come out. You won't see policemen on the streets. Are they not supposed to be the law enforcement? So it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing.
Okay, back to our topic, Jide. So when you now look at the influence of drugs and how these guys behave, you begin to see this strange, even house help. These people, you know, the way they've been. We're hearing stories of very, very gruesome murder of their bosses and everything, and it's time to be very, very careful.
Yes, even with the story that Wale told us, we had to be on the lookout for signs that our domestic helps have been relating with some negative people. So once we see those signs, the best thing is to let them go. It's better to dispense with them rather than be sorry.
Some will go and even connive to have you kidnapped. And
yes.
Call for ransom.
That is the thing.
Investigation will get to them.
That is the thing. I remember the former governor of Bayelsa State, Dixon. His mother was kidnapped, and it was one of his domestic staff that made it happen. That was why he didn't waste time when he became governor, and he said, okay, for kidnapping is death sentence. So these things happen. These things happen.